Everything we've talked about in this season so far has been building to this moment, this episode. We've talked about the illusion of corporate safety, the burnout that isn't actually a personal failure, and the three traps keeping women in the longest. Your identity that was never missing, it was just hiding. All of it was clearing the ground. This episode is about what you build on top of that. The clean exit is not a dramatic resignation. It's not a leap of faith, a split-second decision you turn in your notice. It's not a vision board and a prayer or some woo-woo manifestation. It's a sequence, and the sequence matters more than any single decision inside of it. Replace the income first, then you leave. That is the strategy. Everything else is execution. After I got laid off, I did what most women do when the structure disappears without warning. I panicked. Quietly, efficiently, and oh so completely. I refreshed the job listings trying to apply for a new job in this super shitty job market. I updated my resume for roles that I didn't even want but felt obligated to apply for. I calculated how many months of savings that we had and divided it by the worst case scenario until my nervous system was running on nothing but cortisol, coffee, and contingency plans. I ran that scenario over and over and over every time I freaked out. I tried to be patient. I tried to hold it in, but my nervous system kept freaking the fuck out. What I did not do, what nobody in that moment really thinks about doing, was asking the one question that would have changed everything. What if I built the income myself? Not someday, not after I figured out who I was, not once the economy settled or the kids were older or somehow magically the stars would align. Right now, from what I already knew, from the skills I already had, from the expertise people had been asking me about for years while I gave it away for free inside a company that really didn't give a shit about me. The exit I wish I had was not a job. It was a plan, a number, an offer, and a specific timeline. That is what the clean exit method is. It's a thing I reverse engineered from the chaotic version that I lived, so you, my friend, do not have to. See, the biggest mistake women make when planning their exit is sequencing it all backwards. They start with the identity piece. Who am I becoming? What is my purpose? What does freedom look like to me? Those are not wrong questions, and they are really important, but they're just not the first question to answer. The first question to answer is, what do I need to earn every month to leave? That's the question. Because here's what happens without that number. The exit lives permanently in the future tense, in someday. It's always almost ready, almost possible, almost time. The identity work is beautiful and it continues indefinitely, but you're still at your desk in 3 years wondering why you haven't moved. The number ends the wondering, not vaguely, not in some I just need enough money, but an actual specific number that you can anchor into. It's written down black and white. That is the freedom number. There are 3 versions of it because we aren't all a one size fits all. And the reason I have frameworks and I don't tell you exactly what to do, we're all different. So the 3, there is the bare minimum, which is the floor. What do you need to keep the lights on and eat real food? This is the fastest exit. And for some women, this is the right move. It's not forever. It's just long enough to get out. And then there's the freedom lifestyle. This is the sustainable middle, probably pretty close to what you would have right now. It's not suffering, but it's not luxuriating. You're just living your actual life without corporate income propping it up. And then last, we have the dream life. This is the goal that you're building toward, the big, massive thing that you want your life to be. Not the prerequisite for leaving, but the destination that you're growing into. You pick a path, you get a number. That number then becomes the target, and the target becomes the timeline, and the timeline actually becomes real. Income first is not a financial strategy, it's a permission structure. The number gives your nervous system something to stand on. The number, it answers the what, and then the fund answers how much, and the timeline really answers the when. Most women dramatically overestimate what they need in the bank before they can leave. They calculate their current corporate lifestyle, the lunches, your wardrobe, the stress shopping at Target on your lunch break, the convenience purchases because you're just exhausted and so you go through the drive-thru yet again. And then you multiply that by 12 and you feel trapped forever. That number is wrong because most of the expensive parts of corporate life are corporate life. When you leave, those costs, they leave with you. You're not calculating your corporate life, you're calculating your actual life. The Freedom Fund is 3 to 9 months of your freedom number. Not a year's salary, not an emergency fund for every possible catastrophe that could happen. It's just meant to be a runway, enough to build without panic, enough to breathe, enough to make desperate decisions not have to happen. It gives your nervous system something to anchor into and calm down again. The Freedom Fund is 3 to 9 months of your freedom number, not a year's salary, not an emergency fund for every potential catastrophe that could happen. It's a runway, enough to build without panic, enough to breathe, enough to not make desperate decisions from a place of fear. It's to calm down your nervous system. Then the Freedom Timeline. This is the piece that makes it real. Not someday, not when your kids are older, not when you magically feel ready. Because let's face it, just like having kids, will you ever feel ready? I know I don't and didn't, and I still don't every day. This is a date, an actual date circled on your calendar. The formula, it's not complicated. Your freedom fund needed minus current savings divided by what you can save each month. That math, it produces a number of months. The number of months produces a date, and that date is what goes on your calendar. I'm leaving corporate on June 15th of 2027 is such a different sentence and feeling in your body and direction than I'll leave someday when I have enough. One is a plan and the other is just a wish. The date becomes the plan. You now get to work backwards. Now here's where most women derail themselves yet a second time. We're so good at this, aren't we? They get the number, they get the timeline, and then they try to build 10 things at once. A coaching program, and a course, and a consulting offer, and maybe a membership, and let's throw in some digital products, and maybe even a podcast and a YouTube channel. All of it simultaneously. All of it half-built. And all of it generating absolutely no income. The clean exit doesn't work that way. It is one offer, one client type, one specific problem you solve, and one clear outcome that you deliver. That is it. It's not because you aren't capable of all of those things at one time, but at this stage, that isn't the goal. The goal is just to replace your income. And the fastest way to replace the income is the simplest possible offer that solves a real problem for real people who will pay you for it. The good news, you already have all of this living inside of your head. You've been doing it for years inside corporate. solving problems, delivering outcomes, creating value. You just have not been doing it for yourself. The first offer is not going to be your final offer, so don't worry, freak yourself out, and think you have to get it perfect. It's not your signature program, not your legacy work, or your fully realized vision of what you want to build. It's just the bridge to get you out so that you then can start to work on those things. The income buys you time to build everything else from a place of freedom rather than desperation. One offer working, generating income, is worth more than 10 offers that exist only in a Notion document. And ask me how I know that. Here's the sequence in 5 phrases. Each one builds the next, and none of them can be skipped. Phase 1, see the truth. This is what episodes 1 through 4 were doing. Strip the conditioning, name the corporate STDs, read the burnout correctly. Stop waiting to become a new person and recognize the one who is already in there. You cannot build a clean exit from a life that you have not honestly assessed. Phase 2, get the numbers. Freedom number, freedom fund, freedom timeline, and your exit date. Not feelings, numbers. The specific math that turns someday into a date on the calendar. We cannot gaslight ourselves with numbers. They're black and white. Phase 3, build the income. One simple, serviceable offer, one client type, one clear outcome. Build it while you're still employed. You test it before you need it to work. You get your first client, you get paid. The best thing is you prove to yourself and your nervous system that the income is real before you need it to be your only income. Phase 4, exit cleanly. Leave on your own terms. Not from burnout, not from some crisis moment or getting laid off or something that you can no longer tolerate and you just walk away. But because you built the bridge and it's solid enough to cross. This is the exit that does not require burning anything down. Phase 5, rebuild identity. This is not first. This is last. Because identity and freedom is built from evidence, not iteration. You don't decide who you are outside of corporate. You actually discover it by living outside of it, by doing the things, by the messy action. The sequence is the strategy. Get the numbers before you build the income before you exit, and exit before you rebuild identity. In that order, every single time. This is not a call to be reckless. It's a call to be precise. Built one plank at a time. Tested before you cross it, and solid before you let go of the other side. You don't have to be ready to start building. You just have to be willing. Readiness comes from the messy action that you take in all of that. The version of leaving that feels safe is the one where everything is figured out first. You know who you are, you have the perfect offer, you have enough saved, you feel certain, you feel ready. But my friend, that version does not exist. Ever, ever. You'll be there forever. The exit does not wait for clarity, it actually creates it. As always, here are your journaling questions at the end. And as always, we have 5. And as always, I would love you to use pen and paper. But if you use a computer and you like to type, go for it. Just answer them. Number 1, do I have a freedom number? Specific monthly income that would make the exit real? If not, what is stopping me from calculating it? 2, what is the one thing I already know how to do that someone would pay for right now? 3, if I had to name my exit date, what would it be? And what would and what would need to be true to hit it? What have I been building in my head that I've not yet built in reality? And number 5, am I planning to leave from strength, or am I waiting until I cannot tolerate it anymore? If this episode gave you the framework that you've been looking for, the next step is the Corporate Exit Launchpad. It is $47 and it walks you through finding your freedom number, your timeline, and your first offer. It includes a super awesome calculator for your freedom number if you don't like math. That link is in the show notes and where all of the work starts. I'm Shannon, and this is your Clean Exit.